What's going on? Rebekah Reynolds here from Stability Rebooted, and today I have a stress-free holiday guide. Sometimes we just need to understand that the holiday experience doesn't have to be what we think it needs to be in our own heads, and that it can be what it is. We also have to understand that during the holiday season, there's layers of emotions that occur, sometimes grief, loyalty conflicts, disruptions in family roles, heightened stress, financial situations. A lot of times we want it to be perfect, but there is no such thing as a perfect holiday. And so when we start to relax some of our own emotions associated with the holiday theme, then we are allowed to have a better, more effective, and stress free holiday season. Remember that safety always comes before tradition. If there's trauma associated with your holiday, then let's make sure that we're focusing on a trauma informed perspective. Make sure that there's emotional safety, physical safety. Those things matter way more than maintaining traditions within the family unit or within the holiday season. Remember, sometimes that traditions don't necessarily play a role in today's holiday as they did in the past. Let's keep those expectations down to a minimum and make sure that as adults, we're regulating our own emotions. We are decreasing some of our anxiety instead of increasing our anxiety, and make sure that we are transitioning appropriately. We don't want to have those difficult transitions, and there's definitely going to be surprises. So if we have the expectation that surprises are going to exist, then they're not so surprising when they exist emotionally. Behavior is associated with communication. And so communication is your defense in maintaining that stress free holiday season. Remember, just because you're stressed out doesn't mean other people might be stressed out, and it doesn't mean that they're feeling the same way. If we lower our expectations and become more flexible, so too our emotions become more controllable. Remember that it's okay that we restructure and gently redirect if necessary, and keep that communication at a maximum, not a minimum here. Even if it's very hard to communicate what you're going through at that time, it's better to communicate it than it is to think that your family member is a mind reader. When we're dealing with certain types of situations and we have to pivot a little bit, or there's trauma associated with past holiday seasons, and we want to make sure that we're staying in that trauma informed brain, we can reframe things as caregivers. Maybe kids don't understand why they can't be with their parents, or why their parents can't be present, or who knows what's going on during the holiday season. Families go through crazy stuff during the holiday season. But remember that we are the role models. And so as long as we stay cool, calm, and collected, so too will carry over to our children. We can reframe things like it's just not a safe environment, or we're creating a safe environment this year over Christmas trees. I don't know. There's definitely some reframing that can be going on there by our caregivers and our models, the people that are loving us. It's okay to have clear boundaries. Remember that boundaries are a kind action and a necessary action. Takers will always be takers, and givers will always be givers. And sometimes takers can take way too much from givers. And so, givers, make sure your boundaries are on point. They teach the people around you how to safely navigate within your own parameters, and they keep you in check as far as like your emotions and being able to emote more freely or more effectively. It's okay if you guys don't share things that are hot topics. You can redirect those conversations. Politics are usually pretty hot topics in family units. Religion can be pretty hot topics in family units. Trauma can be pretty hot topics in family units. And we all have toxic people in our life. Sometimes it's healthier if you just don't invite those people and you tell them why they're not coming. It's important that we share the whys as well, even if they're ugly and feel gross. It helps the other person kind of check themselves and give them the space to understand what's going on too, and decreases overall anxiety across the board. When it comes to gift giving, we have to remember that children 5 and under really don't very much care for a lot of gifts. They get very overstimulated. They find one gift that appeals to them and then they just start playing with it. They get disassociated with what's actually going on. They get confused. It's bright and exciting and colorful, and there's a lot going on and there's a lot of people there and we're outside of our normal element elements and structure, and so kids get really confused. You don't have to buy them anything gigantic for them to enjoy Christmas. Sometimes some of the best gifts are the handmade gifts that everybody participated in, including the children. Don't break your budget for the holiday season. It's just one time a year that comes and goes. The most important thing are the memories that we create around the holidays. Your kids are going to remember when you threw them up in the air 50 times quicker than they're going to remember the $1,000 worth of presents that are under the tree. So focus more on creating healthy memories instead of the budget and creating big gifts and presents under the tree. Yes, we want them to have some fun things, but most of the time, if we're buying kids under 5 gifts, it's usually because we think they're cool and not because the kids think they're cool. And we're shopping for a different generation these days. And not everything that was cool when we were kids is still cool today. And so ask them what they want. And if they can clearly express that, give them that and then give them something healthy like a book, and then give them some clothes and be done for the Christmas holiday. Maybe you can create some new traditions within your own self that we don't buy more than X amount per kid, or we only buy kids under 18 presents in the family, and the adults have to regift things in their house or can only buy things for $2 or less or something like that. I know my family is huge, but we are super creative and crafty. And so we try to make sure that we incorporate that kind of stuff into the family unit so that it doesn't get too costly. Children under 18 are the only ones that get presents, like multiple presents. The adults regift things. They can't spend any money on things, and it has to come from like their own space or their own brain or something like that. Some gifts that I've given in the past, I paint, so I've painted pictures, I've made hot cocoa baskets, I've made chili baskets, things like that. They're very most of the stuff came out of my pantry. I also have a regifting box. I'm a part of a group that does a lot of like door prizes. I tend to win quite a bit of door prizes, and a lot of the stuff I'm never ever going to use. And last year, I provided 22 gifts. They all came from the regifting box. Not all of them were big or great, but they were all appropriate for the people that I gave them to, and I didn't spend a single dime. And 22 gifts is a lot of gifts. If you're not using the stuff around your house, give it to somebody who thinks it might be cool, and that allows for a freer budget. Also, remember there are so many resources that we can use for food during the holiday season. If you're struggling or if you're not, utilize those resources. It's important that we do that so that the resources will continue. Because if we don't use them, we lose them. Allow for grief and space to grieve. If you have trauma in your family, redefine what your Christmas holiday needs to look like or your holiday season needs to look like. It's okay if what used to be doesn't work today. So redefine that for you and make sure that as a caregiver, you are taking time out for yourself. It's okay to remove yourself from the situation, to process and to get yourself back in order. And that should be done first. Always put your life mask on first. Remember, with Stability Rebooted, you have the power to evolve. See you next time. Have a stress free holiday.